When you begin watching a movie, you wait in anticipation for the lead actress and the lead actor to come on screen. And when you finish watching a movie, they are usually the last characters on your mind when you walk out of the movie theater, right? That's exactly the kind of impression, that's exactly the kind of anticipation, that's exactly the kind of presence that you need to create with your heroes.
This is your host, Dyutama, but you can call me DJ. And I love to inspire food photographers to dream. I spent 15 years as an architect studying buildings and constructing hospitals before taking the biggest leap of faith of my life, which was setting up a food styling and food photography business right from scratch. If you're a dreamer like me, wanting to start a new photography business or grow your existing food photography business, jump right into a world where I share practical, actionable strategies to improve your photography skills, to work with clients, make more money, all with a fearless mindset. This is the My Food Lens podcast, and we take you one step closer to your dreams. So let's go.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the My Food Lens podcast. And somehow I am very inspired by my daughter who has been on school holidays. And so all I hear is, her voice all day. And so I'm going to start this episode in her words. So in my daughter's words, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the My Food Lens podcast. That's my 5-year-old daughter for you, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So today's episode is all about making the hero the hero. How to make sure that the hero in your photos is actually standing out as the hero and not just looking like the sidekick. We all know that it has happened to all of us at some point in time. And many of us struggle with it. And you know what? Many of us don't even know that it's happening to our photos and in our photos. So when we talk about the hero not falling flat, the hero standing out, it means that the hero gets the most attention and the viewer's eyes go to the hero and they stay there. Basically, the viewer's eyes are not confused. They are very clear who the real hero is. Ta-da! And neither are the viewer's eyes trying to guess what you are trying to portray or highlight. Basically, there is a very clear message that, boss, this is the hero, and the viewer instantly gets that message. They recognize that, and compared to anything else or anywhere else in the frame, their eyes stay glued or their eyes understand that that is the focus. And when I say compared to anywhere else in the frame or anything else in the frame or any other component in the frame, it really means anything else or everything else, basically, other than the hero. Now, be it a prop, it can be a beautiful fresh produce, it can be the side dishes, it can be the ingredients, it can even be the garnish. It can even be the garnish or something else, okay? That is not the hero. So basically, compared to anywhere else, the viewer instantly gets the message loud and clear, boss, this is the hero, and that's what you need to look at, or that is the focus of this photo. So how do we avoid the mistakes that are actually unconsciously blocking our hero from standing out? How do we stop making mistakes that we probably don't even know we are making? Because to be honest, why would we make a mistake if we knew we were making a mistake? Ha ha. So how do we stop these mistakes that we are making, maybe unintentionally, that are stopping our photos from creating the impact they should be making? What do we do? What do we do to make sure that the main subject is taking the center stage and not falling flat? And how do we check? How do we make sure that, oh my God, are we fixing this? Do we have this problem? How are we recognizing this issue in our photos? How do we check whether our hero is really standing out and that our photos are not falling flat. Because again, you don't know what you don't know, right? So I hope that this episode is not only going to be like a lesson on how to make your photo stand out, but also like a huge way for you to be able to check whether your photos have been successful, using these principles or not. Now, here's the truth. The truth is, there is no rocket science. Actually, that is the truth. What you need to do is well within you, what you're already doing. So don't be, in your heads. Don't sit there thinking, oh my God, this yet another skill to learn, yet another application to learn, yet another thing to do. It's so easy. To make a successful photo, the magic is in your skills, two skills that you already have. And that is, again, in my daughter's words, ladies and gentlemen, the two skills are lighting and composition. Drum roll in the end. So, all you need to do is keep in mind some basic principles about composition and lighting, and that's it. There's no rocket science. You got this. It's going to be so easy and so powerful and so game-changing. You are going to love your own photos. So I'm going to start and I'm going to share one composition and one lighting technique. And they're going to be absolute game changers when you're trying to make your hero shine, which is pretty much what we do, right? We want to make our hero shine, but quite often it is missed in our photos. So let's start with composition. Before we even start with, what is this composition principle? Like, what is composition? If I asked you what is composition, what would you say? So take a moment to think about it and think of the simplest way that you can describe a composition. Okay? So if you have that cleared for yourself, let me try. Here's how I would say what composition is in the easiest terms. So composition means placement. It means placement, basically, placement of the hero and placement of other components of a photo, right? So just very simply, when we are talking about composition, think about placement. Now, the easiest way to make anything stand out is to put it where? What should be the placement? Think about that for a minute. Where should you place it so that it really stands out? Again, no rocket science. You put it right smack in the center of the frame. Easy. And you'll often see photographers do this, all right? It's so easy and so obvious. And it works because the hero is right in the middle. So your eyes pretty much have no option. There is no confusion. Your eyes go straight to the center of the frame and they stay glued, and the hero remains the visual focus. So placing the hero in the center is a sure shot way to take the attention or bring the focus on your hero. However, this podcast and you and I are not like the usual, right? And if you're anything like me and you don't like center placements either, well then, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, be ready to break free. All right. Personally, to me, center placements feel very, very stiff. To me, they feel like, someone's put something in a box and it can't move, because it just feels very unnatural to me. Because we are always trying to tell a story. And whenever a story is very natural looking, it relates more, it connects more, and it has a more powerful impact. I somehow feel that for commercial work or something that has more of a brand or a monetary association with it, I feel like center positions definitely make sense. Packaging, something like that. But when we are trying to tell stories, when we are trying to create something more natural, in that case, I'm not really a fan of the center placements. And so if you are like me and you don't really like center placements either, well, worry not. Do not worry, my friend, because somehow there's always a way out. Because come on now, we are artists, we are creative people, all right? So again, if you love playing with all sorts of placements for the hero, please do, because when we are experimenting and when we are playing around, that's when we really break barriers. That's when we unleash our creativity. So how can we not do that? But when we are experimenting, when we are playing around, and when we are having fun with placements, then how can we make sure that we don't go too far, that we have not lost the whole battle, that we're still on track of making sure that our hero is standing out. So let's talk about what happens when we don't want to put our hero right smack in the center. You might already know that when you are using placement guides, so we all use placement guides, right? Where to position the hero, and we have these grids and all of those guides in Lightroom, or maybe it's even on your phone. So when we are using placement guides, like maybe the rule of thirds, or maybe even the golden spiral or diagonals, I love diagonals. I love triangles. I use triangles a lot. All right. So whenever we are using these placement guides, we want to place our hero on the lines of the guides, or on the intersection of the lines, called nodes, Nodes, nodes. Now, these positions are proven to be extremely powerful. And when we place the hero on those points in the frame, then we automatically put the hero in the power position. So that is one. Use the lines, use the nodes in the placement guides to make sure that you're tapping into the potential of that placement guide to make your hero shine. If you don't want to place it in the center, that's okay. Use the power of the placement guides to make sure that you are still positioning your hero in a powerful position in your frame. But in addition to that, there is a simple but a key aspect to keep in mind when you are working on your composition, and that is scale. So don't roll your eyes. I'll just put it in simple words. In simple words, size. Okay, so the other component and a very key aspect that you need to keep in mind is size. And in creative words, or in, I would say, architectural terms, scale. So scale and size are important. Proportions matter. The proportions of everything that is going into your frame matters so much. Because here's the principle you need to remember, and that is that the human eye always goes to the largest area in the frame. Whatever is covering the most area in your frame, the viewer's eyes will automatically go there. And that is science. That is a fact. So when we do create our compositions, we not only want to place our hero correctly using the placement guides, using, the powerful positions, but we also want to make sure that our hero is really the biggest, the most attractive part of our frame, because whatever is big and beautiful will attract attention. Now, keep this principle in mind always, and don't place large props or larger side dishes or, big platters. Even if you're putting them on the side and they're very, very big, there is a high chance that they will divert attention, that they will steal the focus, that they will kind of fight for attention with your hero. And we don't want to do that. We also never want our hero to be looking small and weak. We don't want a small and weak hero. We want a big, robust, attractive, beautiful hero, right? Think of a movie. This is so easy. This is something that I use all the time, and I think you can use it as well. I've talked about drawing a parallel to movie or cinema in storytelling, and look at it even in terms of composition or the key players in your frame. So when you think of a movie, aren't the lead actors the most glamorous? They have the biggest part in the movie, biggest part, largest area, biggest part, remember? So they have the largest or the biggest part in the movie, and they are pretty much the deal breakers in the story, and they take all your attention. When you begin watching a movie, you wait in anticipation for the lead actress and the lead actor to come on screen. And when you finish watching a movie, they are usually the last characters on your mind when you walk out of the movie theater, right? That's exactly the kind of impression, that's exactly the kind of anticipation, that's exactly the kind of presence that you need to create with your hero. So always think of yourself as the movie director, and your movie is that photo. And whatever you relate to cinema, movie, and actors, try to draw a parallel in your photo as well. It's just going to make it fun, of course, fun, but also just so powerful. So there you go. Those were two very important points about composition. Number one, that if you are not feeling the most inspired and you still want to create a great photo, you can always fall back on center placements. And believe me, center placements, I'm not saying that center placements are bad. I'm just saying that center placements have their own place in the creative journey or in the creative world. And sometimes they work great and sometimes maybe they don't. Depends on your story and your composition and what you are creating the photo for. So when we have to remember how to make our hero shine and we are working on our composition, we can always fall back on the center placements. If we don't want to do that, we can use the placement guides and make sure that we use the lines and the nodes to place our hero in the powerful position. And lastly, a big concept that we must never forget is that the human eye, goes to the largest area in the frame. So whenever we are selecting everything else or everything that goes into the frame, we must keep size in mind. What is big, what is small, all right? But there is another angle to this because we are creative people after all. And if we don't want to put our hero in the center, and what if we don't want our hero to be the largest in size? Because we are like that. We just don't want it, okay? We are artists, we are rebels, we break rules, we push boundaries, ladies and gentlemen. So after hearing all of this, if you want to be that rebel and you're just like, DJ, this just feels so restrictive, well, then you're totally justified. You can totally play around and still make your hero stand out. Yep, you can. Because don't forget that you don't only have the power of composition at your disposal, you have another tool. And I mentioned that tool right in the beginning. You have another tool that you can bring into play to make your hero stand out and to make your photo sparkle. And that is the powerful resource available to you, light. Light. Every photographer's biggest love and greatest fear, I guess, right? It's something that we love and we take years to master. And then we realize that, oh, there's still so much to learn, right? So that's our relationship with light. But it is such a powerful resource, especially when we do want to play around, especially when we do want to break some rules. So another principle, and this is the lighting principle, all right? So another principle that you must remember when creating a photo, when trying to make your hero shine, is that even if you miss, even if you don't want to work within composition principles or you miss it, this is one principle which is unfortunately, my friend, not an option. If you are making this lighting mistake, which I'm going to share right now, no composition, no beautiful cake, no marvelous recipe, no prop, no nothing can make up for it. Your photo, unfortunately, will not cut it. So listen in carefully, okay? I need you to really pay attention here because this could be something that you're already doing. This could be something that's unintentionally happening in your photos. And this could be something that maybe you're completely unaware about. You have no idea and your photos have been missing the mark. So it just gets a little bit technical. So just pay attention, all right? One lighting tip to make your hero shine. If I have to give you one top tip to make your hero shine, and when I say shine, I literally mean shine. The lighting tip is that you have to make your hero shine, which means that the focus of your lighting should be your hero. And with that, I mean that there are certain rules around how the human eye responds to light in a photo. So basically, the human eye is drawn to the brightest area in a frame. So whatever is the brightest area in your photo, the eye goes there and it is attracted to the most, like literally to the brightest part of your photo and to that particular component, which is just shining brightly. So it is as simple as remembering that the brightest part in your photo will get the most attention. That's what I said, that you really have to make your hero shine. So think of it like it makes sense, right? Something that catches the light catches our attention. It will stand out and it will catch our eye because it is catching the light, it is bright, and basically it is bright. Now, when I keep saying bright, 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 bright doesn't mean overexposure, bright doesn't mean too much light. It means something. It means the subtlety. It means really the technique here, really observing your light. It means that whatever light you're working with, within that light, so whatever mood you are creating, within that mood, you need to make sure that the hero is being highlighted with the best light that is reaching the edges or the ends or the center or your entire frame. If your props or your backdrops or your side dishes are getting more light and the hero is a little bit in the dark or a shadow, now kind of relatively speaking, all right, then the eyes will go to the props and backdrops because that part is getting more light. Okay, we tend to look at the bright area first. All right, look at the bright side. So remember this little thing. Simply, when you create light, place your hero where the light is literally in all its glory. It is at its best. Whether you create bright and airy, whether you create dark and moody, it doesn't matter. I'm not saying put more light. I'm just saying when you look at the overall light in your photo, look at where the maximum light is going. Look at what is shining the brightest in your frame. And if it is not the hero, if it is falling maybe on the backdrop on the side or even on a particular ingredient or on a prop, then change your light or change your composition so that that glorious light is actually on the hero and the eye is able to get attracted to it. Now, I had said one lighting principle, but I think as I'm doing this, I feel like I need to cover one more principle here because I think it's so deeply linked. And I feel like you need to know both sides so that you can actually put both these principles together and you can create literally magic in your photos using light. So I really feel like I need to mention this other principle as well because I feel like they just go hand in hand. Now, we talked about the eye goes to the brightest area in the frame. There is another part to it. The eye also goes to another area in the frame. And that is the area which has the greatest contrast in your frame. Now, what is contrast? So let's do this again one more time, because I know that, for many of us, it's like color contrast or lighting contrast. I'm talking about lighting contrast right now. Lighting contrast, okay, not color contrast. Contrast, what does it really mean? So in simple words, contrast to me, okay, I'm not using a dictionary. I'm not looking at anything. I'm talking in the most simple way so that I can explain to you so that you don't have to really, stress about understanding this. It just becomes so easy that tomorrow when you're taking your photo, it's like it couldn't be more clear to you. All right. So even if it's technically wrong, it's technically right. So listen now. All right. What is contrast? In simple words, contrast means difference. Whenever I think of contrast, for me, it's the difference between two high points. So wherever there is maximum difference between the components of light, where the difference between the whites and the darks, because those are the two main components of light, right? You either have darks or you have whites. So wherever the difference between the whites and the darks is more dramatic, the contrast is more obvious, that is the area where the eye will also go. The eye is attracted to contrast. It is attracted to brightness and it tends to go there first. So as you create your light, check in to see how is that light falling on your hero. Is your hero getting the best part of your light? And is your hero getting enough contrast to be able to catch that attention? Basically, observe the whites, observe the darks, look at the shadows, look at the highlights, see how much contrast is there. It should not be falling flat. And by falling flat is that you should have shadows, you should have highlights. And when you look at the histogram of your photo, you should be able to see that difference, between the two high points, which is the lights and the darks. You should be able to see the contrast. Okay. Even if you are not using placement guides, even if Your hero is not the biggest. You can get away with it. Trust me, you can get away with it. Even if you're not working with anything which is, just earth shattering, beautiful composition wise, that's fine. But nailing this part, if you can nail this part, if you can get this right, it's 80% done. Like literally 80% of your work is done because this part of your lighting is an absolute deal breaker. No kidding. So you see, missing out on making your hero shine can happen very unknowingly. Many of us don't even know that our eye has this tendency, that our eyes show this kind of behavior towards light, okay? And not paying attention to light and how it's falling on the hero, or even to scale, like size or placement. I mean, we get very attached to certain things when we are creating a photo. We get very attached to a composition. We get very attached to colors. Sometimes we get very attached to props. Who's guilty about that? Right? So we get very attached and hung up on many things. But remember that we must cross check and we must have some kind of guide and rules for checking in to make sure the things that we are hung up on are really working in our favor. Because you see, everything layers up. Everything adds up. If you can work with both the composition and the lighting principles, I mean, come on now. How will your hero ever fall flat? That hero will be like, I don't know, Tom Cruise. I'll say Tom Cruise. Maybe it's some other hero for you, or Salma Hayek. I think she's great. All right. So Tom Cruise or Salma Hayek. So come on now. There's no way that your hero is going to fall flat. And if you can keep these key principles in mind, and be very aware, be very intentional of how they are playing out in your photo, boss, your hero will definitely be the star. You will have the viewer hooked. You'll create a strong visual story. The photo will look cohesive. It will look extremely intentional. Your photography will be at an advanced level. You'll definitely have a pro level picture and you'll wow the viewer. You'll achieve your vision. And come on, these are all the things that we want. What's not to love? All right. Simple but game-changing principles that skyrockets your photos and are not rocket science. Okay. With that, if you found this episode helpful, could you please just take literally 30 seconds and rate us on the platform that you are listening on? And you have more than maybe extra 10 seconds. You could possibly write us one sentence or two sentences on why you love the podcast. And if you're on Spotify, just hit the stars and give us a rating if you love the podcast, because these principles might be a game changer for you, but your reviews are a game changer for me. All right. And if you have any questions as you are creating the hero of your movie, well, then just shoot me an email on hello@myfoodlens.com or DM me on Instagram at Dyutama_myfoodlens. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see you next week with another episode. Until then, bye-bye.